Hello students, today we are going to start with the third chapter of Social Science Standard 8. Earlier we have discussed about chapter 1 socio-religious reforms. In that we have discussed about the various reforms which were done in our country. Now today we are going to discuss with the third chapter, that is nationalism in India. Now before we start the chapter, let us understand what is the meaning of nationalism. So nationalism can be defined as a feeling of pride and belongingness towards one's nation. It is a willingness to sacrifice everything one has for the nation if the need arises. So we can define nationalism as a kind of feeling which each and every Indian should have. It is a kind of feeling in which a person is ready to sacrifice everything for the sake of the country, for the unity of the country. So we will discuss about the various reasons which were responsible for the development of nationalism in the hearts of the Indian people. So the first reason was political reason. Already in term 1 we have discussed the reasons for the development of nationalism in the hearts of the people. So just we will have a gist of it right now, that the first reason was political reason. So we all know students that when the Britishers arrived India at that time, our country lacked political unity, because the whole country was divided into different princely states and there were frequent wars between the kings, and because of that there was lack of political unity, and the British took advantage of it and they started ruling our country, which gradually arose dissatisfaction among the Indian people and they were inspired to take part in the freedom struggle movement. Second reason was economic reason. As we have seen earlier that India was financially ruined due to the economic policies of the British. British took the raw material from India to England and then the finished or manufactured goods were brought back to India. Now the goods which were brought from England, on that tax was not levied, whereas the goods which were produced in India itself, on that heavy taxes were levied. Because of that what happened, the Indian goods became expensive and the imported goods were sold in the market at a cheaper rate. Because of that the financial condition of Indian cottage industries was ruined. The farmers, they became poor and the industries also collapsed. So some of the Indians realized that it was the British policy to prosper England at the cost of the Indian economy. So this arose the feeling of nationalism in the hearts of the Indian people. Then the next reason was the transport and telecommunication. So we have seen earlier that the railway, telegraph, post, land and waterways etc. were developed in India by the British for the military, economic and political reasons. So all this development was done by the British for their own sake, only for their conveniency, but it turned out to be a boon in disguise for the Indians. Because of all this development, the people became closer to one another due to the development of all these facilities. So people started exchanging their thoughts, they started communicating more, and the national leaders would communicate their thoughts and plan share their plan with a larger number of people. Because of that the leadership was built as a national level instead of the regional level, and this gave the notable contribution in the achievement of the Swaraj, that is independence. The next reason was literature and education. We have seen in the term 1 that Lord Macaulay introduced the English education system in India. So because of that people started becoming literate. The Indian people, they started learning English language and they started becoming familiar with the recent trends which were going on in the world. Whatever discussions were done at the world level, that also the people started come to no. At the same time American War of Independence and French Revolution was also going on. So people started reading about that also. with the help of this different communications. And so people started getting various ideas. They got started they started reading novels, acts, stories, poems, songs, etc. And this, as according to this, so people started getting self confidence that yes, we can also fight for our country, and it developed national unity in the hearts of the people. Then the next reason was the newspaper. Now newspaper made a very vital contribution in spreading the national awareness. The newspapers published from Bengal, Mumbai, Chennai and other areas criticized the policies of the British, and it awakened nationalist feeling in the heart of the people. So at that time now the freedom of speech was given, so freedom of thoughts were also given. So people started writing their thoughts in the newspaper, and it arose the feeling of nationalism in the hearts of the people. Then the next reason was magnificent and rich heritage of India. Now Alexander Cunningham, he was a very ancient archaeologist. Now what is the work of archaeologist? To excavate the things, to dig out the things and find out about its culture. So Alexander Cunningham, under him a team was there, and they excavated various things, and in that they could unearth the remains of the majestic civilization. The scholars from the West, in collaboration with the Indian scholars, tried to find a lot about the Indian culture and heritage. Then the ancient books were found which were written on medical science, astrophysics, diplomacy and spirituality. All these books, they were translated into English language. So when it was translated into English language, the people other than the Indians, they also started reading the books, and they came to know about the Indian culture and heritage. So this also arose the feeling of pride and nationalism in the hearts of the people. Now the formation of Indian National Congress, that is INC. Now Sir A.O. Hume, he was a retired British officer, but he has realized that the British Empire was not as secure as it appears to be. So what he believed, that if the dissatisfaction among the people of India was not taken care of, then there are the chances of reoccurrence of the revolt similar to the one which was occurred in 1857. So Sir A.O. Hume, he was very much worried due to the British policies. He was knowing that the people are very much dissatisfied under the British government. So he thought that something should be done for the Indians also. Let the British government rule the country, but some efforts should be put so that the Indian people get satisfied. Otherwise, again the revolt will start like the revolt of 1857, and the British will have to leave the India and go to their country. So because of that, he thought of establishing the Indian National Congress. Now Viceroy Lord Dufferin, he agreed to the idea of A.O. Hume, and he supported him. So with his efforts, Indian National Congress was established in December 1885. So you have to remember the date. December 1885 was the time when Indian National Congress was established, and the first session of the Indian National Congress was held on 28th December 1885 at Gokuldas Tejpal Sanskrit School of Mumbai, and the first president of INC was Vyomesh Chandra Banerjee. At that time 72 representatives from different regions of India were present in the conference. So the Indian National Congress was established in the year 1885, and Vyomesh Chandra Banerjee was the first president of INC. Now the initial activities of, what were the activities that were done by Indian National Congress? So the initial activities of the Indian National Congress were moderate and abided by the Constitution. What kind of activities were included? So the first thing was, it included putting up demand for more political rights, economic and social growth and development of education. Among other demands, inclusion of more Indians in the government services, reduction of expenditure on military and other administrative departments, debt relief of the farmers, revival of the cottage industries, etc. were included. So all these were the agendas which were decided by the Indian National Congress, that they will demand all these things from the British government for the Indian people. So the Indian National Congress passed many such resolutions, such as the expansion of the Legislative Council and keep at least 50% elected representative in it, and at central and the regional levels. So the Indian National Congress demanded the partnership, that 50% of members in the Legislative Council should be Indians and 50% may be the Britishers. Due to the demands of the Indian National Congress, the British government granted more freedom to the press and granted more personal liberty and freedom of speech to the people of India. So all the demands which were asked by the Indian National Congress were not fulfilled by the British officers, but few freedom was given, like freedom of press was given, freedom of speech was given to the people. These are the Indian National Congress. It inspired many youths and fostered nationalism in the educated Indians. As a result, many capable and potential leaders joined the organization. So whoever were educated people, they started to join the Indian National Congress. Now this is a very important topic, children, policy of divide and rule. Now what happened? The political power of Indians started increasing because more and more people started joining Indian National Congress. So initially the British government supported the Indian National Congress, but later on what it started doing, that the British government used to attend the sessions of the Indian National Congress, but later on the government banned the practice. Afterwards they stopped attending the conferences of the Indian National Congress. So indirectly they started taking away their support from the Indians. So they started disagreeing with the policies of the Indian National Congress. And then Governor General Lord Curzon took certain steps against the interest of the national integrity and ignored the opinions of the Indians, and he partitioned Bengal in 1905. This is very important point, children. In 1905, Lord Curzon, he partitioned Bengal by using the policy of divide and rule. And under what pretext he divided the country, that we will see. That what reason he gave, that according to him, why did he partition Bengal? So according to him, Bengal was the biggest province of the British India. It included certain parts of Bihar and Orissa with a population of more than 7 crores 80 lakhs. Now it was necessary to divide Bengal since the administration of such a big province was becoming very difficult. So what reason Lord Curzon gave? That it is very difficult to administer such a big province. Province means area or district. So because of that reason we are dividing Bengal. We are separating Bengal from India. But the real reason was what? That the main intention of Lord Curzon was to promote communal differences between Hindus and Muslims, because maximum people, Muslim population was living in Bengal, and Hindu population was living in the parts of India. So he wanted to create this unity amongst the Hindus and the Muslims. So he wanted to weaken the unity, because there was very strong unity between Hindus and Muslims before the partition. So he wanted to weaken the momentum of political awakening, because he was knowing that the Hindus and Muslims, if they both will get united and if they will fight against the British government, they will throw out the British government from India and they will live with unity. So they wanted to divide the Hindus and Muslims, because the main intention was, the main purpose was the division of the Hindus and Muslims. And the reason which he gave was that because Bengal is a very big province, for the smooth administration we want to divide it into two parts. So national leaders and the common people understood the intention behind the partition and opposed it intensely. So all the political leaders, they understood that actually they want to divide our country on the basis of religion. So for that they opposed the partition of Bengal. Now Banga Bhanga movement, So people opposed these efforts to break the unity and integrity of Bengal by rallies, demonstrations, and by distributing pamphlets. Vande Mataram song from the novel Anand Math written by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay became a very popular slogan during this protest. The nation was swept by a strong wave of nationalism. So everyone, all the people, whether he is a Hindu or a Muslim, all the people got united and they fought against the partition of Bengal. So people in Bengal observe the day as a mourning day. Mourning day, it's not morning, it's mourning day. Mourning means dukh vyakt karne ka din. So as per the suggestion of Rabindranath Tagore, that day was also celebrated as the day of unity, because on this day in the year 1905 the people, they got together, Hindus and Muslims, so it was also observed as a day of unity. The next movement was Swadeshi movement. Now it was decided to intensify the movement against the partition of Bengal and expand its base. So what kind of agitation was done? कैसे boycott, कौन से boycott किए? How the people took part in the opposition in the movement. So the main three characteristics of the movement were, what were the main characteristics of the Swadeshi movement? So the first one was to trade and use Indian goods only. People started using Indian products only. They boycotted the imported goods. People decided that we will not purchase any imported goods. Then to boycott imported goods. So they started using only Indian products and they boycotted imported goods. And third one was to acquire national education and boycott English education. English schools were started, but during the Swadeshi movement it was decided that we always study only in our regional schools, in our mother tongue schools, not in the English medium schools. So they started acquiring national education instead of English education. So to achieve all these goals, a committee was formed under the leadership of Surendranath Banerjee and Bipin Chandra Pal, Arvind Ghosh, etc. And the messages were passed through the newspapers, public meetings, folk songs you all know, Lok Geet. And the factories, they started to produce Swadeshi goods. Indian made goods were started, and the import of the goods like textiles, salt, shoe, sugar, cigarette, tobacco, etc. from England decreased, and the sale of the Indian commodities and textiles increased. So the Swadeshi movement spread in the other parts of the country also. So this is how the Swadeshi movement took place. Then national education. Now what happened, that people, they decided that we will boycott English education. We will not study in English medium schools. So we will study in national schools only. So in national schools, if everyone will start studying, then there were very less number of schools and colleges. So it arose the need, that immediate need arose that new schools and colleges will have to be started. So in 1907 CE, 25 national secondary schools and 300 national primary schools became functional in Bengal. So primary and secondary new schools were started in 1907. Rabindranath Tagore, he started Vishwa Bharati School in Shantiniketan in 1901. The British government failed in subsiding the Banga Bhang movement. Finally, the British government had to cancel the partition of Bengal in the year 1911. So in 1905 they partitioned the Bengal, but in 1911 they have to cancel the partition of Bengal, and it was a historical and memorable victory of the people of Bengal that was achieved through the peaceful and non-violent means. No violence was done in the country, but then also the British government has to cancel the partition of Bengal. Now here we will see about the leaders. There were two types of leaders, moderates and extremists. So who were the moderates? So we can say that leaders like Dadabhai Nauroji, Surendranath Banerjee, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Firozshah Mehta, they all believed in acquiring political right through constitutional measures, that they were known as moderates. Moderate means what? These were the leaders who were believing in peaceful agitation. They did not believe in any kind of violence. So the moderates prepared a strong ground for national awakening by uniting the educated middle class. According to them, we should not go for any fight or any war or anything, but peacefully we have to discuss about our demands against the British government and we should get our freedom. But in contrast to them, there were a group of three leaders, Lal, Bal and Pal, that is Lala Lajpat Rai from Punjab, Bal Gangadhar Tilak from Maharashtra and Bipin Chandra Pal from Bengal. This trio was known as Lal, Bal and Pal. They were known very famous by the name Lal, Bal and Pal. These were the extremists. These leaders wanted to acquire the self-rule not as a favor but as a right. They followed the policy of aggression and revolution and hence were called the extremists. So these Lal, Bal and Pal, they were the part of the extremists. They believed that by hook or crook we should get independent. If need arises, we will fight a war also against the British government to get independence, to get Swaraj. Now we will see about the extremist Lokmanya Tilak. Bal Gangadhar Tilak, he was popularly known as Lokmanya Tilak. He was a prominent extremist leader. Now he gave the slogan, Swaraj is my birthright and I shall have it. So remember this slogan, the slogan which was given by Bal Gangadhar Tilak, that Swaraj is my birthright and I shall have it. He had started the celebration of Ganesh Chaturthi and Shivaji Jayanti. So earlier these celebrations were not done, which is very famous celebration in Maharashtra, Ganesh Chaturthi and Shivaji Jayanti. These celebrations were started by Lokmanya Tilak. He had started two newspapers also, Kesari in Marathi and Maratha in English. He was knowing both the languages, so he used to write his thoughts in the newspapers, that is Kesari and Maratha. He played an important role in the Home Rule movement in 1916 CE. Now what is Home Rule movement, that also we will see afterwards. Now the next extremist was Lala Lajpat Rai. So Lala Lajpat Rai, he was popularly known as Punjab Kesari or Sher-e Punjab. So this was the title given to Lala Lajpat Rai, Punjab Kesari or Sher-e Punjab. He was badly bitten in the lathi charge while protesting against the Simon Commission and it became the reason for his death. So how did Lala Lajpat Rai died? So when he was protesting against the Simon Commission. What is Simon Commission? That we will discuss in the next chapter in detail. So when the slogans were going on, Simon go back, Simon go back, at that time lathi charge was done and in that he was injured very badly and he died during the lathi charge. Now we will discuss about the third extremist, Bipin Chandra Pal. Bipin Chandra Pal was among the trio of Lal, Bal and Pal. Initially he came in contact with Brahmo Samaj, started a weekly New India and newspaper Vande Mataram. The British government accused him of provoking the youngsters in violent activities and he was in favor of acquiring Swaraj through revolution. As we said, he was an extremist, so he believed in war. Then establishment of the Muslim League. We have seen that in 1885 Indian National Congress INC was established and this was another political party which was Muslim League. It was established in 1906. The British had adopted the policy of divide and rule. Nationalism was growing at a quick pace in India and the British found it necessary to break the national unity. So earlier they tried to separate Hindus and Muslims by partition of Bengal, but they failed in that and that is why they have to cancel the partition of Bengal. So then this continuously they started meeting the Muslim leaders who were there in the Indian National Congress and they provoked them against the Hindus and because of that this Muslim League was established. they could successfully convince a group of Muslim leaders into forming the Muslim League. It was formed in Dhaka in 1906 CE. The religious head of Muslims, Aga Khan, Nawab of Dhaka, Salim Ullah Khan, Viceroy Minto, and his private secretary Dunlop Smith played a vital role in the establishment of the Muslim League. So this is how second political party arose. Then its name was Muslim League, in which the majority of the members were from the Muslim community. Now we have seen earlier about Home Rule movement. So Home Rule movement between 1916 and 1918, when the World War I was closing, prominent Indian leaders like Joseph Baptista, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, G.S. Kharpade, Subramaniam Iyer, and the leaders of the Theosophical Society, Annie Besant, decided to organize a national alliance of league across India, specifically to demand home rule or self-government within the British Empire for all in India. So during this time, Tilak was conferred with the title of Lokmanya, and Annie Besant wrote various articles in the weekly The Commonweal and the Daily New India. So Annie Besant and Lokmanya Tilak, these were the two prominent people who started the Home Rule movement in 1916 for Purna Swaraj. Annie Besant, she appealed to the British government that the administrative powers should be given to the Indian rulers and grant the home rule to India at the earliest. Indian National Congress and Muslim League also supported the home rule movement, which was started by Annie Besant. So because of that, the movement was started by Annie Besant, so she was kept in the house arrest in Ooty by the British government, and as she was put in the house arrest, demonstrations and agitations, protests were launched, and finally the British government has to set her free. So Annie Besant was freed after the agitations. Now this is a very important pact, Lucknow Pact, which was signed in the year 1916. Now pact means what? Pact means agreement. So this Lucknow Pact was an agreement between the Indian National Congress and the Muslim League at the joint session of both the parties held in Lucknow in the year 1916. So Lucknow Pact is an agreement between the Indian National Congress and the Muslim League, which was signed in the year 1916. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, then the member of Congress, as well as the League, made both the parties reach an agreement to pressurize the British government to adopt a more liberal approach towards India and give Indians more authority to run their country. So now these two different political parties were there, Indian National Congress and Muslim League. So they were fighting separately. But then Muhammad Ali Jinnah, he thought that if Hindus and Muslims will be divided, then we will not be able to gain independence. So they all got together at Lucknow and they decided an agreement, they signed an agreement where both the members of the Indian National Congress and Muslim League were present, and they decided some rules and regulations and some demands which were to be put forward to the British government, the demands to be given to the British government. And the Lucknow Pact also established cordial relationship between the two prominent groups of the Indian National Congress, the moderates and the extremists. So in Lucknow Pact, everyone came together, the Indian National Congress, the extremists, the moderates, Muslim League, everyone, they came together and they thought that we should be united so that we can ask our demands from the British government, which can be fulfilled. Now a very important person, Subhash Chandra Bose and Azad Hind Fauj. Subhash Chandra Bose, one movie is also there. If you get the time, you watch the movie Bose the Unforgotten Hero. In that, this full chapter, whatever we are going to discuss here about that, everything is given in detail in that movie. You can watch it. So Subhash Chandra Bose was born on 23rd January 1897 in Cuttack, Orissa. His mother's name was Prabhavati and his father's name was Janakinath Bose. He was very intelligent since his childhood. he stood fourth in the ICS exams in the year 1920 conducted in London. He joined the Indian National Congress after returning to India and participated in the freedom struggle movement. He was arrested 11 times. Remember students, he was arrested 11 times under the political offense. He became the president of the Haripura session of Congress in 1938 and the second time in Tripura session in 1939. Difference of the opinion forced him to resign from the post of the president of the Indian National Congress. So he was the person who believed in a war, that we should get freedom by hook or crook. So in May 1939, Subhash Chandra Bose formed the new political party Forward Bloc. So Indian National Congress was formed, then Muslim League was formed, and after that Forward Bloc was the third political party which was started by Subhash Chandra Bose. When the Second World War broke out in Europe, Forward Bloc launched an anti-war propaganda. As a result, Subhash Chandra Bose and his followers were arrested and imprisoned by the government. While in jail, Subhash Chandra Bose went on hunger strike and that deteriorated his health. He became ill because he stopped eating the food. He started hunger strike and the government was forced to set him free because of his ill health. However, he was kept under house arrest. On 17th January 1941, Subhash Chandra Bose escaped from the house arrest. He ran away from the house arrest and he disguised himself a Pathan and reached Berlin via Peshawar, Kabul and Moscow. He gave a speech on Berlin radio which shocked the Britishers. From there he went to Japan via Sumatra. So when Subhash Chandra Bose was kept in house arrest, he ran away from there and then he dressed up as a Pathan so that no one can recognize him, and then he reached to Japan via Sumatra. Now we will see the role of Subhash Chandra Bose in Azad Hind Fauj. So an Indian soldier from British Army, Captain Mohan Singh, he formed Azad Hind Fauj with the help of the Indian soldiers who had surrendered to Japan as war prisoners. Now all these people, the Indian soldiers, were arrested by Japan and they all were Indian soldiers. In that, Captain Mohan Singh was there. Due to the difference of opinion, the Japanese government and Raj Bihari Bose, Mohan Singh had to resign. So initially Azad Hind Fauj was started by Captain Mohan Singh, but as he was having difference of opinion, he resigned from that post and the future of Azad Hind Fauj became blur. So after Captain Mohan Singh, there was no one who could take the leadership of Azad Hind Fauj. So with the general consent, Raj Bihari Bose appointed Subhash Chandra Bose as the chief of Azad Hind Fauj on 4th July 1943. He was given the honorary title of Netaji. So in the year 1943, Subhash Chandra Bose was given the title of Netaji. Generally we say that Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. So Netaji was the title given to Subhash Chandra Bose in the year 1943. Netaji gave the slogan Chalo Dilli and Jai Hind. These were the famous slogans given by Subhash Chandra Bose, Chalo Dilli and Jai Hind. He toured the countries of Southeast Asia and appealed to the Indians living there to sacrifice everything for the freedom of the country. He said to the people, "You give me blood and I will give you freedom." So this was a very famous slogan of Subhash Chandra Bose, that you give me blood, I will give you freedom. तुम मुझे खून दो, मैं तुम्हें आज़ादी दूंगा, was a very famous slogan which was given by Subhash Chandra Bose. Subhash Chandra Bose established Arzi Hukumat, the Azad Hind, in Singapore in October 1943. He took charge as the chief of the army. This government declared a war against England and America. Now what was the role of Subhash Chandra Bose? So Azad Hind Fauj was recognized by Subhash Chandra Bose after he became the chief of Arzi Hukumat Azade Hind. Proper training was given to the soldiers and the Azad Hind Fauj was divided into various battalions. So here they have shown you that how Subhash Chandra Bose, he started training Indian soldiers to take part in the revolt for the freedom struggle movement. Azad Hind Force secured victory at various fronts in the eastern border of India like Arakan and Impal. Later on, the force was forced to retreat due to the shortage of food supply and heavy rain. If you will watch this movie of Subhash Chandra Bose, you will be able to see the whole description that how Subhash Chandra Bose, he dressed up into the Pathan and how he reached to different countries, then how he reached to Japan, then how he formed the new forge, and then how he trained the soldiers, and while fighting they had the shortage of food and heavy rain started and many soldiers they died. They had the shortage of soldiers also, and then because of that they have to surrender. So the dynamics of the war changed. The future of the Azad Hind Force became hazy. 4,000 soldiers died. You can imagine, students, that 4,000 soldiers died and 25,000 soldiers were arrested. So it was a very huge army which was formed by Subhash Chandra Bose. In that, 4,000 soldiers died and 25,000 soldiers were arrested. After that, Netaji has taken a vow that he will not enter into the subjugated India. Subhash Chandra Bose was arrested, but he had decided that he will not enter into the subjugated India. That means the country where freedom is not allowed. So Netaji left Rangoon and Bangkok and moved ahead by air. So as per the reports published by the Japanese government, his plane that took off from the Taipei airport of Formosa on 18th August 1945 crashed, and Netaji, being seriously burned, succumbed to death. So this is we don't know the fact whether it really happened or not. According to your textbook, that on 18th August 1945 the plane of Netaji crashed, and in the crash Netaji's body was burnt and he died, but remains of Netaji's dead body were not found. So actually it is not proved that he died. So still it's a mystery. But according to your textbook, that he died in a plane crash in the year 1945. So students, you read the textbook also properly. It is a very lengthy chapter, so you have to read the textbook also properly and understand the concepts. Thank you and have a nice day.